Hello. If you are watching the recording, go ahead and just fast forward, move your little cursor about 5 minutes forward because I'm on a little early. Just gonna hang out and wait for people to show up. I wonder how much you guys can hear of my kids in the kitchen. So this is a movement and meditation class. So we're going to start moving. You may want a block for our movement practice. If you have a block, a stool, or you can just, it's for a side bend, seated side bend at the end. So it's not crucial, but it could make it a little more comfortable and relaxing. And then you'll need support for your meditation, whether you want to sit on a chair or you have a cushion or some folded blankets, something to support your seat so that when you're sitting, your spine can be tall in a supported but relaxed way. So it's not bringing a whole lot of tension into your body. So your body's not a big distraction during meditation. So, hi Priscilla. So glad that you're here.
Now, can you hear me? That link is what helped me, the link that you sent. Oh. Because it made it so easy to log in.
Well, I'll try to be better at doing that more consistently. Today was an evening class. It was easy for me to be like, oh yeah, I
think it was the first time I've seen the link come in like that though. So I don't know.
Oh, really? So have you been to the website?
Have on my work computer, but I'm working from home now. You know, it's just one of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
things. It would be great to figure out how to automate it, how to automatically send the link to people. I think you would get more people logging in if they could just click because we're lazy, you know?
You're probably right.
And because I don't have the schedule in my head and our days are so different, I don't really have a structured life anymore.
Yeah, it is a little crazy.
Mm-hmm. And I was doing yoga 5 times a week until the shutdown, and then this will be my 5th class since March.
Oh, wow. Well,
I'm
I'm
not proud of
glad you're
myself.
here. There's
Huh?
a zillion of recorded classes on the website.
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to it. I need to do that.
All right. Well, do you have
Oh.
any requests? Anything you want?
Yeah, so I actually have this hip issue where my left hip is kind of high and pulled forward, and I need to figure out how to open it and make it go down. And the other thing is I need to run and get my computer charger because I'm only on 40% battery. So
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, run and do that.
You look so far away.
This way, when I'm standing, you can see my whole body.
What a beautiful room, though.
Oh, yeah. Why have a formal dining room when you can have a yoga room?
How cool.
Well, we'll get some hip stuff in. Today's class is movement and meditation. So we'll just move for 30 to 40 minutes, and then we'll end with a 15-minute meditation at the end. So if you have folded blankets, or if you have a meditation cushion or something that you like to sit on to give yourself some support as you sit for meditation, then gather that. I do have a yoga block for one pose. It's not totally required, but it could make it nice, or the side of a bed or a chair or something handy.
Yeah, I'm right next to a bed, and I've got my block and my roll. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and mute you for this part, and then we can chat at the end.
Okay.
We'll just start standing at the top of our mats. And just find a Tadasana. And feel your feet on the floor. And just let yourself get tall. Let your toes spread. Feel your big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, center of your heel. And then you can start to just rock forward and back a little. I've got my eyes closed. You can close your eyes. But really just kind of get into your body here. And what it's like to be inside of your body. Rock from side to side. Rock forward and back. And maybe even see if you can sway in some circles here. Eyes opened or closed, but if your eyes are open, just let them be really soft. Sorry, my kids are being really loud in the kitchen. And then see if you can get those sways smaller and smaller until you just come to a perfectly centered place. Ears are stacked over your shoulders, shoulders over your pelvis, pelvis right over your heels. And take a big breath in, just reach your arms high. You can open your eyes to look up. And with an exhale, soften your knees and just let yourself bow forward, let your arms swing back. And we're just gonna find some really fluid movement there. Inhale to come up. And then exhale, let your belly come to your thighs, knees bend as you swing your arms back. And just move there with your breath. You can let your breath be as loud as it wants to. Notice if it wants to come in and out of your nose or your mouth. And you can let that exhale be pretty forceful as you fold. And the next time you come down, let yourself stay, let your arms kind of swing until you just find a standing forward fold. You might let your legs come a little straighter. Maybe sway from side to side a little with your hips. And then soften into your knees. Roll yourself up to standing. And then let your arms start to swing. We're gonna bend our knees and just swing your arms back and forth. So we're just kind of moving our energy, getting our blood flowing. So just let your arms swing opposite from each other. You could try and play with getting fancy and see if you could swing them in circles opposite of each other. It's kind of a brain exercise for me. And then maybe switch directions. Let your torso sway, let your hips kind of sway with it. Just any big swings with your arms. And then let those just fade away. And find some circles with your hips as you're standing. So just kind of hula hooping here. And see if you can really feel like you're in the center of a bowl and just wiping around the side of that bowl with your pelvis. And after you've gone one direction a couple of times, just go the other way. Just want to kind of warm up all our tissues with some dynamic movement. Let our lymph flow with all the bouncing. And then let yourself end those circles. Bring your weight into your right foot and just let your left foot just hover off the floor. So just floating a couple of inches and let that leg find some swings. And you can let those swings get bigger and bigger. Just see how steady you can be in that right leg. And if it needs to bend, if you need the buoyancy of a bent knee in that right leg, that's fine. But just let yourself swing your leg, and you can let your leg swings get a little bit bigger and really engage through that left glute as you reach back. But just find some warmth in that hip, and you can let that swing get as big as it wants to get. Just a little softness in the back of that knee. Okay, we've got some momentum going here. We will end in a high lunge. We'll step back with our left foot into a high lunge. Just because you don't like wobble yourself too much. But then just pause. You got some warmth through that left hip. See if you can find some length also through the front of it. And then find a little bit of movement in your pelvis here. So you can tuck your tailbone under, push your tailbone back. You can find a bend in that back knee as much as you need to. And play with moving that pelvis from side to side. And then just find a neutral place for your pelvis to be. Bend into that right knee, and then we'll bend into the left knee. Let our knee hover above the floor, and then come back up. Just do that 2 or 3 more times. Connect to your breath. And next time your knee comes down, just let it ground all the way to the floor. I've got my right hand on my hip. Lift your left arm up, and then side bend over to your right. And then come on upright. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. And from your center, twist to the right. So you can lead with that right elbow. And then feel like someone's pulling back on your left shoulder and you're resisting that. Stay connected to your breath. Maybe with your next exhale, you can twist a little more, but we're not leaning forward. We're not bracing ourselves with anything. Just that muscular strength. You can engage through your left glute as you twist away from that left side towards your right. And then unwind. Bring your left hand to the floor, inside of that right foot. Untuck your left toes if they're tucked. We're just going to take our right foot and swing it back and step it so that you are in a modified side plank. Reach that right arm up. Find some external rotation of that upper left arm. So like you're turning that elbow crease to point the same direction as those left fingers. Maybe take that right arm alongside your ear. Big side bend through that whole right side body. And then swing that right hand to the floor. Find a table. And then push yourself back into a child's pose. And it doesn't need to go all the way hips to heels. When you get there, just lift your hands, like keep your wrists on the floor, but lift your fingers and your hands above the floor so you're flexed at your wrists. And then we'll rock back into a table. I'm just gonna rock back and forth here. So you can see that flexion that you've got in your wrists when you're in a table. See if you can just keep that same shape as you tilt back. Lift your wrists. Last time, let yourself come back into your child's pose. You can settle in here, maybe shift hips from side to side. Notice the difference between right and left. To relax through your hands, lengthen from your pinky fingernails all the way through your hip creases. And then rock yourself forward. Drop your belly, lift your sitting bones, tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back for your first downward facing dog. You can pedal it out here. And onto your tippy toes, look forward and into your knees and just take a walk up to the top of your mat. Find some softness in your knees, find parallel feet here. And inhale, halfway lift, look forward. Exhale to fold. And then inhale, all the way to standing, reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. Bring your weight into that left leg, and we'll find those swings on the other side. So you'll just kind of float that right foot off the floor and feel some sturdiness through that outer left hip. And start small. With a pretty straight right leg, just find a little softness in your knee. But just let your leg just swing like a pendulum. You have hands on your hips, hands at your heart. And notice what it does to your balance. If it's different from your right side to your left, you can let your swings get a little bigger. Really engage into your glute as your leg travels back. So you just find the whole potential of your hip flexion forward and extension backward. Just some warming movement here. Let's take a couple more breaths. Find the whole rainbow arc of that swing, and then step back into your high lunge. And just pause, find some stillness there. You can reach your arms up. Push into that right big toe ball mound. You can release your hands down. Find that pelvis movement here. So tuck your tailbone under, push your tailbone back. Tuck your tailbone under, push your tailbone back. And then maybe some side to side movement, small and subtle. It's just an investigation of what is happening here in your body, how you feel in your pelvis. And then come to stillness. Bend through that right knee, let it hover above the floor, and then come back up. Bend through that back knee, just lower down, and come back up. 2 or 3 more. Go ahead and come all the way down. Rest that right knee on the floor. Reach your right arm up, and then find a side bend over to your left. Find some breath through that right side body, through the front of that right hip. And then come upright. Hands to your heart. And then twist to your left. Take a breath in. And maybe twist a little more. And you can feel like someone's pulling that right shoulder back, but you're resisting that away from them. And then unwind yourself. Plant your right hand down to the floor inside that left foot. You'll pivot a little on your right knee and take your left foot, sweep it back. Reach that right arm up. Externally rotate that right upper arm like you're turning that right elbow crease, same direction as your fingers. And then take that left arm alongside your ear. Feel really long from that left outer heel all the way out through your fingertips. Circle that left hand down. And find your table. And push yourself back into that child's pose. Lift your fingers, so find that wrist flexion. And then rock forward. And this time, just lift your palms. So your fingers are on the floor, palms and thumbs lift. And then lower down, hips back, lift your fingers. And just rock here with your breath at your own pace, just finding a little strength in your forearms and your wrists. And just dynamic movement for those hips. Maybe a stretch in your lower back. But really do it in a slow, smooth, friendly way. Back up to table, tuck your toes, let your belly drop, let your sitting bones lift, and then lift your hips up and back for your downward facing dog. Notice how it feels from right side to left. Check into your hands, the strength through your wrists and your forearms. Check in with the backs of your legs. You can find some softness in your knees. And you don't need to be rigid here. You can find a little bit of fluidity and movement with your breath. And then bring your knees to the floor. Step your right foot outside of your right hand into a low lunge here. And then you can knee toe that left leg back, maybe a smidge. Just feel what feels good for your hips, and then find that kind of swaying and rocking here. Maybe even some circular motions. Really let this be kind of an easing and an investigation in a really friendly way. So this month we've been focusing on the Ananda Maya Kosha, or our bliss body. It's the deep layer that's right nearest our true nature. That deep inside, we are made of joy. But we just are peeling back the layers. And part of our movement practice, right, is just to really refine this outer layer, the Annamaya Kosha, our physical body. Okay, after you're kind of done flossing through that hip, go ahead and sit back in a child's pose. Breathe there. And just notice my hips aren't coming all the way to my heels yet still, after a full day. And then come back onto your hands and knees. And we'll just switch sides. So left foot outside that left hand. And you can lengthen your lunge if you need to. And just sway or circle or tuck, whatever will help kind of floss some freedom into that hip space. If you need your hands higher on the edge of a chair, on a block, definitely listen to what your body needs. And the angle of those left toes is totally up to you, and you can even play with it as you're moving and flossing through your hips here. I really like to think of this asana practice as that refining of the outer layer, kind of the polishing to make it a little more transparent. So the deeper layers can be accessed and shine through. After you feel like you've paid enough attention to the wiggles here in this hip, go ahead and go back to a child's pose. Let your knees go as wide as they want to. Maybe forehead to the floor, maybe forehead to a block. And you can find the same swaying here in your child's pose. And then we'll meet up in downward facing dog. Just let yourself rock forward. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back. Inhale onto your tippy toes to look forward. Exhale, bend through your knees, take a walk to the top of your mat. Parallel feet, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. From here, we'll find our balance again, but you can have your hands on a block or fingertips to the floor. Just lift the left leg in a standing split, or for me, a standing L and L shape. Really draw that right outer hip back as you lift that left leg and bow over that right leg. Stretch through that right hamstring, the length of that right leg. And then bend both knees. You're just going to bring your left shin to the floor and come to sit. Lean back and place your hands behind you. Feet are maybe mat distance apart, maybe just a little closer. And then just want you to kind of find some buoyancy in your hands here. And play with the angles of your wrists. We'll push up into a reverse table. But first, I just kind of want you to educate your tissues here that you're going to put some weight on your hands, a little bit of load there. So find the comfortable place for your wrists and your hands. Draw your shoulder blades together, press into your feet, lift your hips up, and then come on down. And then maybe adjust your hands again. It's going to come up and down at your own pace. One more time. And then cross your ankles in front of you, rock forward. And we'll come to a table. Find some cat and cow, dropping your belly, rounding your spine. And then you'll take your right leg and just take it straight out to the right. So your right arch is in line with your left knee. Your hands just stay exactly where they are. And you can find that cat and cow movement here. Some friendly flossing through that hip. And then you might want to change the position of your foot. So you get a little more external rotation of that hip joint. So you can come on your heel, flex through your foot, let your knee and toes point up toward the ceiling. And then you might play with finding a neutral spine and then just internally and externally rotating that right leg. So let me move to the other side so you can just see. So toes up and down. But this movement is coming from your hip joint and not your ankle. Keep that right leg straight back. Just let it float. Soften your lower ribs in toward your spine and then float your left arm forward. And just hold your balance. Feel your core strength, your back body strength. And then drop that left hand down. You're gonna cross your right leg over your left. And then look over your left shoulder toward that right heel. And you can really find a C curve through your spine, stretch through that right side. And then you can bend into that right knee. I'm gonna do kind of a cross-legged child's pose. So hips back towards your heels any amount. And then rock forward. And across your legs. Tuck your toes, set yourself up for your downward facing dog. Or child's pose if that would feel better. Any swing that you need. And then look forward and take a walk up to the top of your mat. And inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bring your fingertips to the floor or a block. Find that standing split on the other side. And just reach that right leg back and up as you fold over that right or that left leg. Draw that left outer hip back. Remember that stability that you found in that leg as you were doing your swings. And then bend that right knee, bring your right shin to the floor, and then sit back. We'll sit up for that reverse table again, but this time we can kind of play a little more. So try just letting your left fingers point away from you, finding that left hand behind you. And as you lift your hips, you can swim that right arm up. And then go ahead and come down and switch hands. Lift your hips and their left arm up. And just go side to side there. Finding the twist. Not opening through your shoulder. Now after you've used that right arm as a kickstand the last time, just cross your ankles. And again, roll forward onto your hands and knees. Find a few rounds of cat and cow, dropping your belly and rounding your spine. We'll keep this movement of our spine, but just take your left leg straight out to the left. So that left arch is in line with your right knee. And then find that movement there. And you can play with the angle, maybe let those toes and knee point toward the ceiling. And you find that movement. And then find a neutral spine and just internally rotate. So big toe edge of the foot comes to the floor, and then rotate those toes to point toward the ceiling. But let yourself move from your hip. So your whole leg is moving in one piece. This isn't happening from your ankle. lift that right leg straight back behind you. Soften those lower ribs in. And then float your right arm forward. So left leg, right arm. Right hand down. Cross that left leg over your right. And just come onto the ball of that left foot. And then look over your right shoulder toward your left foot. Really curve your left ribs over to the left. And then bend your left knee behind that right knee and just find a cross-legged child's pose here. You can rock in and out of it a little bit. Go ahead, come back up. Uncross your legs. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. And then walk your hands towards your feet. Go a little wider. Uttanasana, so your feet are about mat distance apart, or a little narrower, just wider than your hips. Soften into your right knee and lengthen through your left leg, and then switch. Bend into your left knee, lengthen through your right leg. Just let your pelvis kind of sway from side to side there. And if you want, as you straighten through your left leg, you can sweep your left arm up into a twist. And then come down and we'll switch sides. Maybe back and forth one more time. Come to center, just roll yourself to standing. And take a wide stance on your mat. So just face the wide edge of your mat. Take your toes in, your heels in and your toes out. And just sit down in a high squat and a goddess squat. And just find some swaying side to side. You can adjust your feet as you need to. But again, just kind of looking for some fluidity in your pelvis here. Maybe a little lower. Think of lifting through your arches. Letting your tailbone point toward the floor. So you're not over exaggerating the back bend in your lower back. And then straighten both legs. Parallel your feet. Bring your hands to your hips. Draw your elbows toward each other. And then hinge at your hip crease. Come forward halfway. And just pause with your spine parallel to the floor. Soften through your knees, lift your 10 toes. Find some real solid rooting down through your big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, center of your heel on each foot. Lift through your arches. Let your toes come down and then let yourself fold. Maybe you keep your hands on your hips, maybe your hands come to the floor. If they're not there already, exhale, hands to your hips. And inhale, loop your shoulders up and back, come all the way to standing. And just pause. Toe heel your feet together. And then just cross your right leg in front of your left. just gonna sit down. So actually bring your left shin to the floor and then come down for a seat. Use your hands as much as you need to. So we're here like we would be for an Ardha Matsyendrasana twist. So my right foot's on the floor, my left knee's bent, heel by my right bum. So you can stay here, or you can take that right knee and stack it on top of your left as much as it will go. It doesn't have to be totally stacked. It would come on the side of your foot. So either way, and you can even swing this left leg straight forward. You want to find a place where you can feel like you have integrity in your spine. Okay, so it's not really the pretzel that we're looking for. It's just like the freedom in your hips and your spine together and your pelvis. So either place you want to be. Knees stacked or bottom leg straight. So my left leg is on the bottom, whether it's straight or bent. I'm gonna bring a block over to my right side and just bring my right elbow to that block. Take my left arm just alongside my ear and just let it bend. And open through my chest. And just kind of let yourself settle here. Let that left hip settle. Whether your leg's straight or bent. The left leg is on the bottom and we are side bending to the right. Let's just take 2 more breaths here. And come on up. Uncross your legs. Just bring your heels to the floor and just windshield wiper them from side to side. It doesn't have to be big or dramatic. And then we'll switch sides. So right leg is on the bottom, either straight or bent, and your left leg will come on the top. So right leg's on the bottom. I was telling you the right thing, but I was not doing the right thing. So this bottom leg can be straight, it can be bent. Your top leg, the foot can be planted firmly on the floor, or you can stack your knees. Just arrange yourself in a way that you feel some freedom in your pelvis. Support for your spine, and we'll find that side bend over to the other side. I'm gonna bring my left elbow onto my block, right arm. I'm just gonna come alongside my head, and I'm just gonna let my elbow bend so my hands are kind of touching. This may be totally different from one hip to the other, and you can always come out and adjust so that you're in a way that feels friendly and good for your body. I'm not looking for any pinching or constrictive sensation, but right, sensation is okay. Just don't want to move into the place of pain where we're putting our body into a fight or flight response. The whole goal is to relax and to peel back the layers. Just one more breath here. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. Uncross your legs again. Just use your hands behind you. Find those windshield wipers. We'll just take one last wide leg forward fold seated. So just take your legs 90 degrees or maybe a little more. And then really think of that tailbone being free from out from underneath you. And then you can bring your hands forward, just sway from side to side a little. But just friendly yourself into a forward fold. Knees and toes pointing up at the ceiling. Maybe active through those feet. You can point your toes or flex them or kind of point that in between. And then find a place where you can just be still. Breathe, space. And, you can notice where there's any constriction or it feels like energy is not flowing. Just really direct your awareness to that place and breathe space around it. And even ask, like, what does this place need? And there are so many layers. Could simply need a little movement, a little change in position. But there could be a more subtle need to let go of the gripping around it. To let go of a sense of fear or a needing to guard. And then go ahead and come on up. And we'll set ourselves up for our meditation. So if you've got a cushion to sit on, you can grab that. If you prefer to lay down, you can set yourself up to lay down. I'm going to move to my cushion. And we'll talk a little bit. I'll read a little bit as we sit. And like I mentioned, we've been over the past several months, we've kind of made our way through the koshas, or these sheaths, the layers of our body. Our food body, the annamaya kosha, or like the tangible physical part. Our breath body, which is our energy, our pranamaya kosha. We have our manomaya kosha, which is the thought, feeling, emotion body, and also those autonomic systems that just happen in our body. And we have the Vijnanamaya kosha, which is our wisdom, our intuition, also our personality, so our inherent patterns that we default to, right? And these things that just are, but they are all sheaths or layers that cover our essential nature. And within those is the Ananda Maya Kosha, or the bliss body. And it even isn't, right, our essential nature, which is Atman, which is deeply connected or intimately part of the divine. that bliss and joy is our birthright. That's the most refined covering of our deep soul. And the model of the koshas shows us that there are many layers that are covering our true nature. And there can be barriers to accessing the deep layers of joy and the inherent love that really is what we're made of. And those barriers are just all ways that we get in our own way. So the framework of the koshas really teaches us that the deepest covering of our true nature is joy, and that experiencing that innate joy peels back the covering of our essential eternal self, which is power and creativity and love. And we yearn for joy, and we're always seeking for that happiness. Right? We're wired to seek for it. And the problem is that we try to either manufacture it or find it outside of ourselves, rather than realizing that it's always already here. And we create stories about who we are, and we create maps of how to get to that destination of happiness. So I just want to invite you to sit tall with a tall spine. And just close your eyes and bring your awareness to your breath. And this practice gives us a way to just work with each of these layers, to refine them, make them more transparent, so that that innate joy is actually the thing that shines through. And so we've moved our body. Let's take a few minutes to do some pranayama. We'll just do 2 minutes of nadi shodhana, which is alternate nostril breathing. So you'll take your right hand and just bring your second and third finger into your palm, and we'll use our thumb and ring finger alternately to close our nostrils. And we'll start with the left. So you'll use your thumb to close your right nostril, and inhale through your left for a count of 4. Pause at the top and then switch. You'll bring your ring finger to close your left nostril and exhale through your right. Inhale right. Close your right nostril with your thumb, exhale left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. So you'll always switch after the inhale. Just keep going at your own pace. And take your last exhale on your right side. So when you get to the exhale through the right, go ahead and just release your hand. And that pranayama helps us really refine and clarify the pranamaya kosha, our energy body, that life force energy. And just feel the clarity and the balance that our movement and our breathing have created. See if you can really settle your awareness into your heart center. And if your brain is working with thoughts, just allow them to be. You don't need to grip onto them or follow. You can just rest in that refuge of your heart space. And see if you can breathe in a sense of an inner smile. And just settle in with that as you exhale and soften. And for these next few minutes, these last minutes, I'll offer you the tool of the Hum Sa mantra. Hum as you inhale, Sa as you exhale, which means I am that. I am that clarity and joy, creativity, powerful love that's intimately connected with the divine. And if your mind's wandered from the mantra, just come back to that hum as you inhale. Sa as you exhale. And the simplicity, it's so simple. But it doesn't mean it's easy. To peel back those layers and just rest in the truth of who you are. We'll end by bringing our hands to our heart. Just bow with a sense of gratitude to this gift of time that you've given yourself, to your temple body, to your anchor breath. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Namaste. Hope you have a lovely night.